Looking ahead to your spring election ballot, we will hear from the people running for the state's highest court who say their personal beliefs will not influence their decisions on the bench.
And we are learning more about what closing the border with Mexico might mean for prices at the grocery store, your local car dealership, and more.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good Monday morning and welcome to News 3 Now this morning on this April Fool's Day, April 1st. Glad you are back with us, Hattie.
I'm back, yeah. Should have taken another day off just
I
for April
know,
Fools, right? No, but I'm back in town. Temperatures are a little cool for this time of the year. We should be topping in the lower 50s. We'll be close, though, today. Take a live look from the WISC-TV Skycam. We do have a lot of clouds in the area. A little glimpse of the sunrise, though, right on the horizon. Kind of a cool shot this morning. If you're pulling up the Channel 3000 weather app and looking at the radar map, you might be a little surprised and maybe a little scared. This is no joke. There's actually some snow showing up on the radar map, but it's not hitting the ground. It's all evaporating before it reaches the ground.
Looks menacing, though, doesn't it?
It does. Now, and that's not to say you won't see a few flurries. Of course, flurries or even some sprinkles will be possible today. Our best chance for rain, though, comes tonight. Temperature holding steady here in Madison, still 30 degrees at 6 o'clock, 30 in Janesville as well as the Dells, 32 in Platteville, 27 in Monroe. Temperatures will climb into the upper 40s today. Southerly winds will be increasing, though, so turning breezy later on this afternoon. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. We have no major issues, just the usual crowd showing up on Stoughton Road near the Beltline this morning. A few delays showing up there. Otherwise, your drive times into Madison still looks like you're going at posted speeds heading into the capital city.
I really wish flurries were an April Fool's joke, but think about this time last year. Pam Yankee was reminding us there was that huge winter storm this time last year.
Oh, there are some real famous snowstorms that have occurred in April over the years. So we're not out of the woods just yet for winter type precipitation, but we're moving in the right direction.
Like to hear that. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
We start the news this hour with the Supreme Court race that will top your ballot tomorrow for the spring election. Brian Hagedorn and Lisa Neubauer are running to replace the retiring Shirley Abramson on the state's highest court. So a significant amount of money has been poured into what's technically a nonpartisan race, as those on the right try to expand the conservative majority on the court, and those on the left hope to take the majority with the next two elections. Judge Hagedorn has been criticized for comments he made about Planned Parenthood in a blog post back in 2005, while Judge Neubauer has been endorsed by that organization. Both candidates say they will not let their personal views or other potential conflicts get in the way of decisions on the bench.
The real question is, do you understand your job is to set aside the law, set aside your views and follow the law? And again, my opponent and nobody else can point to any time where I've done anything other than that.
For every decision I make on the Supreme Court, I want to come to it with an open mind, no agenda, no ideology, no bias, no predetermined outcomes.
Political reporter Rose Schmidt sat down with both Supreme Court candidates, and you can find more on those interviews over on our politics page on Channel3000.com.
Also on tomorrow's ballot, Middleton voters will decide whether their stormwater bill should triple to help the city make repairs from last summer's flooding. The city counted more than $5 million in damage to its stormwater management facilities during all that rain. The referendum asks if homeowners are willing to pay $45 for their stormwater utility charge instead of the current rate of $15 through the year 2024. The city might also get some help from FEMA, though it's not clear yet how much.
People living in the Milton School District will have a $60 million referendum question on their ballot tomorrow. Voters will decide if the district should be allowed to borrow that money to make facility improvements at all of its schools except for Northside Intermediate. Now, that includes meeting ADA requirements, adding spaces for math, science, and technology classes, and renovating common areas. The district held an open house over the weekend to answer some questions the public might have about that referendum.
I hope people keep an open mind because what makes a school district function well is if you continue to add students and you can continually change your programming and have enough room to do things the way education is changing.
For homeowners in Milton, the referendum would raise property taxes by about $164 per $100,000 of property value. Milton voters have rejected 2 referendums in the past 3 years.
To the nation's capital now, the White House is threatening to close the U.S. border with Mexico as soon as this week. The Department of Homeland Security says it's experiencing a system-wide meltdown due to a surge of illegal border crossings. The Washington Post reports trade specialists say sealing the border with Mexico, America's 3rd largest trading partner, would disrupt supply chains for car makers, increase grocery store prices, and possibly lead to lawsuits against the federal government.
Developing this morning, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling on the FAA to remove Boeing from a committee that makes safety recommendations. The senator says it does not make sense for that company to be part of the group, as its 737 MAX jets are under investigation following deadly crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia. Schumer's asking the Federal Aviation Administration to look at that committee's member selection process, transparency, and potential conflicts of interest.
6:05 your time now. If your morning commute takes you through downtown Madison, you might want to find a new way starting today.
That's because 2 major construction projects will kick off this morning on some of the busiest roadways around there. Josh Spreiter is live where John Nolan Drive meets Blair Street with the details. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Yes, we're already seeing some lane closures down here already this morning. You can take a look behind me if you're coming from John Nolan and trying to get on Willie Street. You're not going to be able to do that. You're also going to be limited trying to get onto Wilson Street from John Nolan and Blair Street. So there's a lot going on here. Of course, this is known as the hairball intersection because it is a mess. There's a lot going on here between the different streets. You've also got the railroad tracks and then, of course, the bike path coming through here as well. Well, today's crews will start tackling this project, but that also means your commute is going to be affected over the coming months. All of the connecting streets and bike paths will be under construction during this time. Over the course of the project, officials say each stretch will either be down to 1 lane or closed periodically. Now, the last time this area was majorly worked on was back in the 80s. MG&E will be doing some work in the area as well. And the railroad crossing at the intersection will also be replaced. Crews hope construction will wrap up here by mid-August. Now, of course, this isn't the only project that is kicking off today over on Johnson Street. That's also going to be down to 1 lane in both the eastbound and westbound directions. And there will also be some periodic closures during this time as well. And that's going to last for much of the year. And I'll be live from that location coming up at 6:30 to give you an idea of exactly what they're going to be working on, what you'll be seeing going on there over the coming months. Of course, you can also go to channel3000.com. We have all the details you need to know, so you can get to your destination as quickly as possible. And yeah, we're already seeing some delays down here this morning, and the morning commute hasn't even really kicked off yet, ladies, so a lot to look at.
This is my morning commute, so I'm paying extra special attention, though nothing at 2 a.m. is too bad. Josh Spreiter helping me out. Thank you, Josh.
So speaking of road repairs and driving, a new report shows drivers here in Wisconsin are paying for much more than just gas when they head out on the roads. The state's Consumer Protection Department says drivers here are paying more than $600 a year for car repairs. Those experts say it's because Wisconsin's roads are among the worst in the nation. Last year, half of major local and state maintained roads were either in poor or mediocre condition, which is estimated to cost motorists about $6.8 billion a year. A recent AAA survey found 60% of Wisconsinites think current transportation funding is not enough to maintain the state's roads.
New this morning, AAA has a reminder out about the dangers of using your phone behind the wheel. Research shows drivers who text have their eyes off the road for 5 seconds on average and are up to 8 times as likely to be involved in a crash. April is Distracted Driver Awareness Month, so it might be a good time to remind your teenager about those statistics. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says 6 out of 10 teen crashes involve a distracted driver. For more information, you can head over to AAA.com/distraction. Almost 6:09 your time now. When someone is experiencing an opioid overdose, seconds can mean the difference between life and death. Up next, we'll share a new idea to make the drug to reverse an overdose more readily available for bystanders ready to jump in and help.
April showers or sprinkles or flurries or all of it. We're hoping they will bring flowers eventually. Hattie's talking about the need for an umbrella all week long. Next on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. The birds are very vocal this morning. They're all up and they have a lot to say, probably about the weather and maybe the chance for a few snowflakes in the forecast yet today. Let's take a look though. Yesterday we had beautiful sunshine, but boy, didn't warm us up at all. Temperatures barely cracked the 40-degree point yesterday here in Madison and many locations. There were a few spots that stayed in the 30s. It's pretty cool for this time of the year. We should be topping in the low 50s. Happy first day of April. The normal high is 51 today. We'll be a little bit closer today. We're hitting highs in the upper 40s, staying right around 50 through the week, but then a nice warm up is forecast for the upcoming weekend and the start of next week when 60s are in the forecast. Here's a look at what's happening on the radar map this morning. Maybe the birds are chirping about this. There is some snow showing up on the radar map, but it's not hitting the ground. While you may see a few snowflakes or sprinkles today, our best chance for rain comes a little bit later on tonight. A lot of cloud cover in the area though. A few holes in the clouds here and there, but mainly mostly cloudy skies. You can expect to see plenty of clouds through the day today. Temperatures are starting out right around 30 degrees. A little bit warmer through the Wisconsin River Valley, though. 37 this morning in Prairie du Chien and 36 in Boscobel. Contrast that with 24 in Watertown and 25 in Juneau. So a little bit of a difference in temperatures across southern Wisconsin. Winds are very light right now, but they will be on the increase. It's going to turn breezy today. Luckily, it'll be a south-southwesterly wind around 20 miles an hour, so that will warm things up a little bit, at least a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. It'll stay breezy through the afternoon, but those winds should diminish tonight. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. We have temperatures starting in the upper 20s and low 30s. It's showing you just a chance for a few snowflakes, especially north of Dane County this morning. Otherwise, cloudy through the afternoon with highs in the upper 40s. Now tonight, look for mostly cloudy skies. A little bit of rain beginning to move into the area. North of Madison, that rain may start to mix with a little bit of snow. Little snow accumulation, though, is expected, and any precipitation comes to an end Tuesday morning. We may even see a little bit of sunshine for the afternoon. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Slight chances for rain continue Wednesday and Thursday, although the latest forecast models are pulling that storm system a little bit further south, so we may be able to take some of those rain chances out of the forecast. We definitely warm up, though, for the upcoming weekend with high temperatures back in the 60s. Here's a look at your first alert traffic this morning. Josh Tim has all the details. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, it's a quiet start on the Beltline this morning. So far, not looking at anything to slow you down yet in either direction. Other roads here in Dane County not looking too bad. The usual brake lights are beginning to show up northbound side of Rona Road and Stoughton Road approaching the Beltline. I would look for some extra slowdowns downtown starting today, especially during the commute. There's some ongoing road work that does begin, and other routes coming into the city. They're moving at the posted speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Hattie. 6:15 your time now. As Narcan becomes more readily available across the country to help save people from an opioid overdose, Las Vegas is trying to make it as easy as buying a soda. Narcan is now available in vending machines there. The nasal spray blocks the effects of opioids on the body and can help prevent an overdose. Health officials say easy availability of that drug is making a big impact with opioid addiction in the southern Nevada area. And being able to access that spray quickly from a vending machine can be the difference between life and death. Looking ahead, Nevada plans to include more health-related items in those machines, things like safe sex kits and pregnancy tests.
Right now, there are almost 114,000 Americans waiting for an organ transplant. About 2,000 of them are right here in Wisconsin, and another person is added to that list every 10 minutes across the country. Hospitals here in Madison will recognize that need today, and donors out there as well, with a pause to give life. A special donor flag will be raised outside UW Hospital and Meriter Hospital at 10:08 a.m. That represents the 8 lives one donor can save. Anyone is welcome to come out and observe that moment of silence. If you would like to learn more about becoming an organ donor, visit donatelifewisconsin.org.
UW-Madison is one of 10 universities in the country at the center of an unprecedented research program designed to help keep future generations healthier. The goal of the program, called All of Us, is to enroll 1 million people nationwide into this program, 100,000 of them here in Wisconsin. It's something you can be a part of to help researchers learn more about the illnesses that affect all of us. Annie Weatherby says her family history led her to sign up and help find answers for her grandchildren.
just wanting to find out why, trying to connect that to the origin, and maybe look at preventing or doing some intervention for my grandbabies and future generations.
It's the first really huge initiative to get enough people that are diverse enough to really begin to address these problems in a representative sample.
Eric Franke is going to share Annie's story and tell us more about the All of Us research program and how you can get involved. That's coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 10.
So he has been keeping the band in tune and on rhythm since Sweet Caroline was first released. And an end of an era for Mike LaCrone means the end of his fashion statements as well.
We're going to hear from the woman behind his sparkle and what she plans to do once her sequins are no longer needed. That's when News 3 Now this morning returns.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. A lot of clouds in the area, as well as some snow showing up on the radar map. None of it hitting the ground right now, though. Take a look at your weather track animation. It does show a few flurries here and there. You may see some snowflakes or sprinkles today, but our best chance for rain holds off until tonight. Temperatures currently are in the low 30s in many spots. Now, where skies are clear to the east, it is a little cooler. Waukesha's down to 19. It's only 25 in Watertown. Contrast that with 30 here in Madison, even 37 in Prairie du Chien. A lot of clouds at the bus stop, both on the way to school and from home today, or back to home, I should say. 48 degrees is the high, so you still want that jacket as you head off to school today. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you so much, Hattie. UW-Madison's marching band director for the past 50 years is retiring, and the band's longtime seamstress is following suit.
That's right. As Mike Leckrone prepares for his final spring concerts in just 2 weeks, Lois Levenhagen of Beaver Dam is designing his last iconic costume. For 27 years, she has put thousands of hours into creating his flashy jackets, and they're always kept a big secret until Leckrone takes the stage.
The first time he puts that coat and puts it on, I just, oh, there's my work. It's on stage, you know, and stuff. And just, you know, it just feels good, you know, and just fills me up, you know.
I still maintain that only he can pull that off.
Agreed.
The spring concert series is April 11th, 12th, and 13th. Unfortunately, all 3 shows are already sold out, but Wisconsin Public Television is live streaming Leckrone's last concert online on Saturday, April 13th, starting at 7 p.m.
Those jackets are just legendary. You love to see them during those concerts.
Oh, yeah. He definitely shows up, and, you know, he's got all the acrobatic stuff. If you've never been, you'll want to catch that live stream because it is something else. And the fact that he still does it after 50 years is unbelievable.
Congrats to both of them.
Yep.
All right, still ahead, Madison lawyers are digging into the plans to allow a driverless car to go to the Capitol Square.
And city leaders want to start a new group to make sure all of us have a place to park near our house, even if the neighborhood grows in the future. The details are straight ahead on News 3 Now this morning.
UW-Madison says it is struggling to keep up with the demand for computer science classes, but the governor's budget proposal might be able to help out.
I wish this was an April Fool's joke, but unfortunately your commute through the Isthmus is going to be a mess over the coming months. I'm Josh Breiter live in downtown Madison with what you need to know about two major projects starting today.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 Now this morning on this Monday, April 1st. And it might be construction season, but it might not feel like it out there.
It's a little chilly.
Temperatures right around the freezing mark.
Yeah, let's turn it over to Hattie now, who is back from vacation. Hads, welcome back. It's good to see ya.
Thank you. Nice to be back, but still wearing the winter jacket, even though spring break is over for some. It's a little chilly this morning. Temperatures are below the freezing point in most locations. Take a live look at the Henry Vilas Zoo, the polar bear camera this morning. They're up. It looks like they might be waiting for breakfast, though, or something like that. They're pacing around the windows and the doors early this morning. Temperatures aren't going to warm up too much today, although it will be a little bit warmer than yesterday. If you're looking at the radar map this morning, you may think this is an April Fool's joke, but it's not. There is some snow that's occurring, but really dissipating before it actually hits the ground. No ground truth to any of that snow showing up yet this morning. Now, a few flurries will be possible, or even some sprinkles as we go through the day today, but our best chance for precipitation comes tonight. Here's a look at your current temperatures. It's chilly in Watertown and Juneau this morning with temperatures in the 20s early today, 30 in the Dells, here in Madison and Janesville, a little bit warmer to the west where they have had cloud cover a bit longer. Now, our temperatures today are going to warm into the upper 40s this afternoon. Southwesterly winds will be increasing. It'll be quite breezy later on today with that southwest wind at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps early this morning. We are starting to see some slowdowns on Stoughton Road, both north and south of the Beltline this morning. A little bit of slow inbound on Verona Road as well. No accidents to report, though, at this time. So you're going near posted speeds as you head into Madison. Let's hope that stays the same throughout the morning.
Yeah, no kidding. And Hattie, we're looking at the sunrise this morning. That sun is really, really trying there. Just a sliver of it.
It is. I think the clouds are going to win the battle today, but we do have more sunshine in the forecast for the end of the week.
Yes. Excellent. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Hads.
You're welcome.
So with spring comes the inevitable construction season here in Wisconsin.
And two major road projects are kicking off today on the Isthmus. That includes a stretch of East Johnson that was underwater for a good amount of time last year. And that's where we find Josh Breiter live this morning with the details. Hi, Josh.
Good morning. So the cones and signs are already up this morning, but we're not seeing any lane closures yet here on East Johnson Street. Now, starting today, crews will be working on Johnson Street all the way from Baldwin up to First Street, and they'll be tackling anything from replacing some water mains and repaving the road, while also making some improvements to the bike and pedestrian crossings and also the paths. New lighting will be installed, and crews will also be working on replacing the curb and gutter to help prevent some of that flooding like we've seen in the past in this area. Officials say both East Johnson Street and North First Street will usually maintain at least one lane of traffic in each direction over the duration of this project. There will, however, be some short-term closures of some of the area streets around here, and those directional detours will be used, and they'll also let you know about those ahead of time. Now, this project is expected to last until late this year. Also starting today, if you are just joining us, we're also going to have a mess over on the Hairball intersection where John Nolan turns into Blair Street at Wilson and Willie Streets. That project is going to be going through much of the summer, and they're going to be working on a bunch of stuff there as well. So you're going to probably try to avoid that area if that's part of your commute. We have the details of both of these projects and the timelines and everything you need to know right now at your fingertips. Just download the all-new Channel 3000 mobile app, and it's really easy, and I think we really need easy when it comes to construction season, but it is here, ladies.
Yes, it most definitely is, and already a good number of cars over on East Johnson this morning. Josh Breiter reporting live for us downtown. Thank you, Josh.
Another first alert traffic note for you on this Monday. You'll be moving a little slower on the interstate down in Rock County starting today. Speeds along a 13-mile stretch of I-3990 from Janesville to Beloit will go down to 60 miles an hour as crews there get ready to start construction work. Then later this week, all interstate traffic from Highway 26 to Highway 14 is going to shift onto the southbound side. That change is going to stay in place until next summer.
6:31 right now, and a Georgia man wanted for murder is waiting to be extradited this morning after being arrested by Beloit police. 20-year-old Anton Sims of Johns Creek, Georgia, was arrested Sunday afternoon by U.S. Marshals and the Beloit Police Department. He is accused of shooting and killing a woman during a drug deal last October before moving the victim's body and car and burning them. He was charged officially with homicide, arson, and concealing a death last November, but has been on the run up until he was found at the Prairie Village Apartments in Beloit.
The United Methodist Church is on the edge of an uncertain future as it tries to decide whether to include the LGBT community within its ranks. Last month, at a special session of the church's General Conference, delegates from around the world voted to enact stricter rules for LGBT clergy and performing same-sex marriages. The lead pastor over in Oregon, though, says he's ignoring the ruling at his own church.
I'm going to lead my ministry as if those actions are not authoritative for me, and this congregation, by and large, has agreed with that and said we are going to be a congregation that exhibits the full inclusive love of Jesus Christ for all.
That right there is Pastor Jason Mankell. He says he's in the majority in the U.S., where 2/3 of delegates voted not to strengthen punishments, including all the delegates here in Wisconsin. This month, the Judicial Council could decide to overturn that ruling. Regardless, though, both conservative and liberal members are prepared to split the denomination over the issue.
New this morning, a record number of students at UW-Madison are signing up to study computer science, and it's putting a strain on campus resources. The State Journal reports the demand for computer science programs on UW's flagship campus is up 9 times high. It's 9 times higher, I should say, than a decade ago. That makes it the most popular major there. But the paper reports UW-Madison's struggling to find enough lecture halls that are large enough to serve computer science students. A week into the spring semester, there are an estimated 650 student names on a class wait lists. Now, Governor Evers has proposed $45 million in his budget to expand high-demand programs throughout the Wisconsin system. It's unclear whether the Republican-controlled legislature's budget, which is being drafted right now, will include that funding. Speaking of the governor, he says he is concerned about the president's plans to eliminate the Affordable Care Act and what that could mean for Wisconsinites. The Trump administration said last week it plans to strike down the entire Obama-era health care plan. The president's promising a new plan sometime later this year. Speaking on MSNBC, Governor Evers says he worries about what that could mean for people living with pre-existing conditions.
People of Wisconsin are saying we want to make sure that those of us, those 2.4 million of us, including me, I'm a cancer survivor, still had those protections. What President Trump is essentially saying to the people of Wisconsin, you know, you 2.4 million people who have a pre-existing conditions, guess what? You might not have them anymore.
Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill say they're surprised by the president's shift of focus toward health care. They say they have no plans to tackle the issue in this legislative session.
All right, for anyone who's ever been frustrated by other drivers taking the parking spaces in front of your house, Madison's looking at putting together a team to address those concerns. The city expects to add about 1,600 new houses and apartments over the next 25 years. And on-street parking is one of the most significant issues that residents bring up whenever there's a new development proposed for their neighborhood. A handful of alders want to put together a group of staff members who would look into a policy on parking in residential areas and recommend some changes to council by the fall of 2020.
The city attorney's office is clarifying what laws are or are not in place when it comes to a new driverless shuttle. That autonomous vehicle is expected to be operating by this fall, going from the area right around Stevens Field up Main Street into the Capitol Square. American Family Insurance has agreed to pay for the $300,000 car. Madison's lawyers say driverless vehicles could be prohibited if they do not meet state and federal requirements. They add the city currently does not have the authority to regulate or ban autonomous vehicles.
All right, even though the Badgers didn't make it to the Final Four and your bracket might be completely busted, I know Danica's is, we've got a number of Wisconsin connections that might keep you watching this weekend.
And if Wisconsin's brief appearance in that tournament didn't cut it for you, the Brew Crew's off to a solid start this season, and the reigning league MVP already has a chance to make history tonight. News 3 Now This Morning is back after this.
All right, Miss Paula Richard has me dreaming of kayaking days with this gorgeous My News 3 morning photo out of Monticello. Thanks so much for sharing, Paula. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on Facebook or on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning so Danica and I can find and share our favorites here on the program.
So the Brewers are off to a 3-1 start this season, and they're sitting on top of the NL Central this morning. Let's take you to the 9th against the Cardinals yesterday, though. Brewers down by 1, and MVP Christian Yelich is going to send one to left center. Lorenzo Cain hustling all the way from first, diving in head first to score. It's a 2-run double, and the Brewers come from behind to win 5-4. And that's not the only notable thing Yelich did during yesterday's game. He had a solo home run in the first, becoming the first reigning MVP and only the 5th player in Major League history to hit 4 home runs in his team's first 4 games. No one has ever done it in 5 games in a row, but Yelich could make that happen tonight in Cincinnati. By the way, he hit for the cycle twice against the Reds last year.
All right, from baseball to basketball, we are down to the Final Four in this year's NCAA tournament. And even though the Badgers aren't in it, there are still some pretty neat Wisconsin connections. The field was set yesterday with a pair of upset wins. First, Auburn beat Kentucky to make it to their first ever Final Four. They're coached by former UW-Milwaukee head coach Bruce Pearl. They'll face Virginia, who's coached by Tony Bennett, son of former Badgers coach Dick Bennett. Pretty cool. Then Big Ten champs Michigan State pulled off an even bigger upset, beating tournament favorite Duke 68-67. They're going to play Texas Tech, who's also making their first ever Final Four trip. The Final Four tips off this Saturday in Minneapolis, right here on News 3 Now.
Very exciting tournament so far. All right, 40s and rain, some flurries, some 50s, some sun, then up to 60. Keep up if you can. Hattie's got a little bit of everything in her first alert forecast, starting with some clouds and a bit of a chill in the air today. Her first alert forecast is coming up.
But first, it's April 1st. We want to say happy birthday to Morgan and all the kiddos turning 3 today, and that's no April Fools. Thanks for celebrating with us right here on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Take a look at the sunrise this morning. Beautiful shot caught on our WISC-TV camera here on the west side of town. A lot of clouds in the forecast though today. Today is of course the first day of April and we're looking at normals for this time of the year. For the first part of the month, normal highs are in the low 50s. We top in the low 60s though by the end of the month. So really increasing that normal high temperature through the month. Our coldest day in April ever back in 1982 on the 7th of April where we dropped down to 0. So nice to see that we haven't ever had a negative degree day in April. It is a wetter month for us and unfortunately some of that precipitation can still fall in the form of snow. 2.6 inches of snow would be normal for this time of the year. Let's take a look at that upper air pattern. Rather cool conditions to the Great Lakes and the eastern part of the country this morning. A little bit warmer to the west, but not much. Take a look at how that changes as we go through the week. Still staying relatively cool through Tuesday, even into Wednesday. By the end of the week, though, some of this warmth moving up from Mexico and the desert southwest will eventually head our way. So by the time we hit Friday and Saturday, it starts to feel a little bit warmer around here. Looks like our temperatures should climb into the 60s by the time we hit the weekend. Not a lot of 60s around here, though. 48 today in Madison. Does get into the 60s, though, across parts of Texas. Atlanta with sunshine will top at 60 degrees. Still cool in the northeast, though, if you are traveling today to the northeast. 48 for the high today in New York. To the west, a little bit warmer. San Francisco, LA, 60s and 70s. Here's a look at what's happening on the radar map around the country. A little bit of light precipitation in northern Texas, parts of Oklahoma this morning, showing up as snow, but actually hitting the ground as rain. We do have a little bit of snow showing up on the radar map here, though, in southern Wisconsin. It's not actually hitting the ground just yet, but a few flurries or sprinkles will be possible. Nice start to the day, though. Temperatures are just a little bit under the freezing point here in Madison with cloudy skies, 30 degrees, 36 though in Boscobel, 37 in Prairie du Chien. To the east, we're looking at temperatures a little bit cooler, though, with clear skies right now. Temperatures are in the middle 20s. Winds are not a factor early this morning, but they will be increasing through the day. Take a look at your future track wind forecast. Winds will shift to the southwest as we go through the afternoon and increase. We're talking wind speeds right around 20 miles an hour, so it will feel quite breezy at times through the second part of the day today. Your future track forecast model, again, a lot of clouds in the area. Temperatures climbing into the 40s by lunchtime. Mainly dry through the day today. Can't rule out a few flurries or sprinkles. Best chance for rain, though, is coming tonight. Highs today will be in the upper 40s. Then some rain moving in tonight. You see it may mix with some snow north of Madison, where temperatures drop into the 30s overnight. Looks like that precipitation, though, will come to an end through the morning on Tuesday. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Temperatures hover right around 50 through most of this week. Still slight chances for rain on Wednesday and Thursday, but a nice forecast coming up for the weekend with highs in the 60s and some sunshine.
Oh.
Take a look at this pet walk picture. Oliver in Fitchburg. Good
treat.
buds there. Is that an ice cream cone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, might be some doggy ice cream.
Never too cold for ice cream.
Never. Not even today. We'll take it. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 Now this morning. 6:51, time for the morning sprint. Hattie says we will be ping-ponging a bit between lows in the 30s and highs in the 50s this week with rain possible throughout it all.
But first, Josh Breiner's downtown this morning with an update on where you should plan for traffic delays. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Yes, two major projects are beginning today. The first one here at Johnson Street from Baldwin all the way down to First Street. You'll expect some lane closures, and we'll be dealing with that for the coming months, actually all the way through the year. Traffic will be down to one lane typically as crews will be working on reconstructing this area, and this project will last until November. The other major project is over at what many call the Hairball intersection. That's, of course, where John Nolan turns into Blair and Wilson and Willie Streets. Crews will be reconstructing that area to make it more feasible for the heavy vehicle, train, and pedestrian traffic. The roads will be down to one lane or closed from time to time, so expect delays and detours. That project is expected to be completed by mid-August. Of course, you can go to channel3000.com for all of the details.
Thank you, Josh. We are waiting on an update on the condition of a 17-year-old who suffered life-threatening injuries in a crash over the weekend. Another 17-year-old girl was killed in that head-on collision yesterday morning. Two people were ejected as a result of that crash on I-94 near Cottage Grove. Eastbound lanes of the interstate were closed for a few hours while crews investigated and cleared the scene.
You will be moving a little slower on the interstate down in Rock County starting today. Speeds along a 13-mile stretch of I-3990 from Janesville to Beloit will go down to 60 miles an hour as crews get ready to start construction work. Then later this week, all interstate traffic from Highway 26 to Highway 14 is going to shift onto the southbound side. That change will stay in place until next summer.
The state's Consumer Protection Department says Wisconsin drivers are paying more than $600 a year for car repairs because roads here are among the worst in the nation. Last year, half of major roads across the state were listed in poor or mediocre condition, which is estimated to cost motorists here about $6.8 billion a year.
And clouds are in the forecast today, although we're getting a little glimpse of the sunrise here in Platteville thanks to the Queen Bee Radio Skycam. Look for a few sprinkles or even a few flurries this morning. Otherwise, turning windy today. Southwesterly winds increasing. High temperatures, though, in the upper 40s.
Thank you, Hattie. The White House is threatening to close the U.S. border with Mexico as soon as this week. The Department of Homeland Security says it's experiencing a system-wide meltdown due to a surge of illegal border crossings. The Washington Post reports trade specialists say sealing the border with Mexico would disrupt supply chains for car makers, increase grocery store prices, and possibly lead to lawsuits against the federal government.
Former Vice President Joe Biden is defending his interactions with women after a Nevada politician says a kiss on the back of her head years ago made her feel uncomfortable. Lucy Flores wrote in New York Magazine that the kiss in 2014 made her feel uneasy, gross, and confused. Biden's still considering a presidential run and says he does not believe he has ever acted inappropriately.
When you head to the polls for the spring election tomorrow, the candidates for state Supreme Court will be at the top of your ballot. Brian Hagedorn and Lisa Neubauer are running to replace the retiring Shirley Abrahamson. A significant amount of money has been poured into what's technically a nonpartisan race, as those on the right try to expand the conservative majority on the court, and those on the left hope to take the majority with the next two elections. You can learn more about those candidates on the channel3000.com politics page.
I hope people keep an open mind because what makes a school district function well is if you continually add students and you can continually change your programming.
That's the Vice President of Milton's school board who's hoping voters change course and pass a $60 million referendum tomorrow. Those voters have rejected two referendums over the past 3 years. This one would cover a number of improvements and renovations at almost all of the schools in Milton. It would raise property taxes by about $164 a year for every $100,000 of property value.
Middleton voters will decide on whether their stormwater bill should triple to help the city make repairs from last summer's flooding. The city counted more than $5 million in damage to its stormwater management facilities during all that rain. The referendum will ask homeowners if they're willing to pay $45 for their stormwater utility charge instead of the current $15 through the year 2024.
There's a plan to create a new group here in Madison to look into on-street parking policies and make sure you have spaces in your neighborhood. The city expects to add about 1,600 new houses and apartments over the next 25 years. And on-street parking is one of the most significant issues residents bring up whenever there's a new development proposed. Now, a handful of alders want to put together a group of staff members who would recommend changes to the policies by fall of 2020.
Curbside brush and yard waste collection begins begins this morning in Madison. As a reminder, the city will not pick stuff up unless you separate the brush from yard waste. The former includes things like tree, shrub, and bush trimmings, while the latter covers leaves and twigs. You can find links to the pickup schedule over on channel3000.com.
It is 6:56. Let's get one more check on traffic here with Josh Tim. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, still moving well on the Beltline. Nothing major to slow you down heading east or westbound. John Nolan starting to pick up near the North Shore Drive intersection, and already brake lights near Willie Street where construction begins today. Just make sure you plan ahead. And other routes coming into Madison area, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your First Alert Traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you very much, Josh.
And the view outside, looking at the Capitol, just a few breaks in the cloud cover early this morning. We are looking at temperatures climbing into the upper 40s. Can't rule out a few flurries, but what is showing up on the radar map is not hitting the ground right now. Our forecast has a high of 48 later on this afternoon. Again, a few sprinkles possible. However, the best chance for rain is in the forecast for tonight. Here's a look at that extended forecast then. Holding close to 50 through the week, but we do get back into some sunshine for the end of the week with highs in the 60s this weekend.
The weather probably not a big issue, but if you were catching a flight in or out of Chicago today, we are just getting into the Channel 3000 Alert Center that there are some major delays out of that city due to technical issues. CBS This Morning. We'll have more.
The